Hey everyone, Redmen Originals Podcast time. I'm Paul Machin. The man next to me on the green short, black t-shirt couch is Chris Pajak. And over on the pink leggings, black top couch, Steve didn't get the memo. Chloe Bloxham and Ste Chloe. We're going to be talking.
For anyone listening, yes, Steve's wearing the pink leggings.
Yep.
Just to clarify that, we've got to be perfectly clear on that. In fact, if you don't believe us, come over to our YouTube channel and check it out. We're going to be talking about what's been going on with Liverpool. We're going to be talking transfers. We're going to catching up. We're going to be talking about the future of Sky commentary. Trent playing for England and the latest transfer rumours. Then in part 2, we're going to be asking basically what's the plan. What is going on? What are they doing? What are they thinking? And if anyone has got any clear ideas on that, please do feel free to let us know in the comments section.
So that's what's the plan for Liverpool, not what's the plan for the second part of the
podcast.
What's
the plan? No, it's just in life, Chris.
I don't know what's the plan. I'm not sure. You were writing the agenda.
I'm just going to write what's happening. What's happening, and we'll go from there. Yes, let's dive into it then. First and foremost, we were about to talk about it off camera there, but yeah, Martin Tyler's leaving Sky.
Get it.
Peter Drury looks like he's been drafted.
Double get it.
Yeah, it astounds me that Drury hasn't had, like, it doesn't basically work in this country. It's absolutely baffling. I did think it was like, we had this conversation with me and my dad. It's like, he's gone, that's good, isn't it? Like, well, who's out there? Who'd you get? You go and get Peter Drury.
Yeah, you don't get the Robot Wars commentator.
Yep. Yeah, no, you don't.
You get Peter Drury.
Does he still do? Does he?
Yeah, he does all kinds of stuff, doesn't he? I think is he one of the Match of the Day commentators?
Jonathan Pearce?
I think so.
Yeah. He's still do 5 Live, presumably. You
listen to 5 Live when the game's on the telly.
Yeah,
for the watch longs.
Yeah. Can I ask people's opinions on Martin Tyler? Because I think
You
hate him. You say hate him.
Yeah.
You're too young. I expected that response
from you. He's never been good since I've been alive, so just leave me alone. At no point has he filled me.
Well, I should hope not.
Jesus Christ,
old man. What I meant.
But Jory has.
Jory and his
right
commentators,
up me.
No, Martin Tyler's
it's a gift from the heavens. I mean, Peter Drury, he'd commentate well.
Yeah, Martin Tyler's not exciting at any moment of, like, even that, like,
he was,
Anthony Martial goal against Liverpool, it's just crap commentary. It's it's crap.
But he buzzed over that. Like, that was, I've been trying to work out mentally at what point his love for commentary died. And I wonder whether it was midway through that Liverpool United game, because he was absolutely creaming his pants over that. Because I'm trying to think, does Benteke score after that? Because it gets absolutely 0 response. Scores one of the goals of the season. And he reacted to it like Benteke just kicked the head off his cat.
Everyone, there's a lot of Liverpool fans think he was anti-Liverpool. I just think he was crap. By the end of it, he just looked like a fella who just couldn't be arsed anymore. And fair enough, he's been doing it for a long time. Yeah. You know, at some point he probably just wear thin on you, because at some point you've seen everything. Because like the most iconic goal of Premier League history, his commentary makes the Aguero goal. His commentary makes the Aguero goal, because there is passion in his voice and there's a lot going on with it. I think he just got a bit hard by the end of it, a bit tired of it all. He was, you know, it was. I mean, I'm quite lucky because most of the games I watch, I'm usually doing the watch along, so I don't really have to have it on. But when you do some of it, it's a bit like, mate, like it isn't even like, I don't know, not even like there's no insight to it or nothing. Like some people can be like quite, what's the word, like not too emotional, but they're giving you really good insight. He was giving you nothing. He was boring and just did nothing. So I think it was a good time for him to go.
He'd make a really exciting game. Absolutely boring by his commentary, and that's just how it was. You'd be watching Manchester City v Liverpool, an advert for the Premier League, you know, unbelievable. Liverpool v Manchester United 7-0. You'll never see it ever again. And he would literally drag it to the pits of hell with how boring it was listening to him.
Do you reckon he's walked up and pushed, or a little bit of both?
Both.
That's usually the question,
yeah,
isn't it?
I think a little bit of both. I think he was really, really good.
He used to be boss.
He was absolutely brilliant.
He's been the voice of the Premier League.
Yeah, there was a point where it just, he fell out of love with it and whatnot, like, and then I think he found it difficult to overcome his probable hatreds. And I think that's blindingly obvious as a Liverpool fan to kind of get onto the fact that he doesn't like Liverpool. And he stopped hiding it.
Yeah.
He stopped pretending.
Maybe he just lost a little bit of love in his life when Andy Gray turned out to be a really, really horrendous misogynist. Maybe that was what it was. Yeah, never quite recovered from losing Andy Gray. Because you you wouldn't have even watched footy, will you, Chloe? It was Keys and...
No, I've
Keys
seen
and
the
Gray.
clip where he starts talking about women, though, in the crowd. Great.
Yeah, not great.
To be fair, though, Martin Tyler had a fair, a big moment a couple of years ago when he compared Hillsborough to hooliganism. And, didn't get called out for that, really. Had to apologise. But aside from that, was back on the footy the next week, back on Liverpool the next week. Aguero was the only moment that I can think of where I've actually been excited during a game of football due to the commentary. And like I've mentioned before, thank God I'm usually in a stadium and don't have to
it's
listen
not
to
about. I mean, look, commentators are there to tell the story, and again, I think he's just gotten a bit bored with it as he's gone on. It happens to all commentators. Like John Motson had still had a fantastic voice for it, but his references became dated, and he became a little bit just a bit too nerdy for it all. You know what I mean? Whereas you look at someone like Clive Tildesley's had a bit of a renaissance, hasn't he, on TalkSport in the last couple of years. It's really an odd. He just feels like someone who's just been going through the motions for years. Like Mark Lawrence, people who saying, "Oh, it's political correctness or whatever, moving on old white men from it." But it's like it is a bit of that, mate. But also, you did sound a little bit like if you got that auntie who hates football trying to talk about a bit of football that she was forced to watch. That's what Mark Lawrence sounded like doing co-coms. Like, so Tyler definitely had a bit of that. But we'll always have Olympiacos. That's the one for me, is that, lovely cushioned header. And I know Andy Gray then takes it up a notch. But like, he had some boss moments. But
is that when he actually used to not mind us as a football club? Or...
I think he just give a fuck about footy in general.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think, honestly, I think he just got bored of it, and it was fair enough.
The last 5 years, it's
been tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my memory doesn't really go past the 5 years. That's just happened, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone's got a favourite, moment, then let us know in the comments. But yeah, for me, Olympiacos, that was like you take the moment and you let the moment breathe, and you add a little bit to it, and that's what actually Peter Drury's boss is doing. He reacts excitedly, then shuts up for 30 seconds, lets all the crowd noise come through, then thinks of what like absolute heavenly poetry is going to drop on the watching public.
Don't know if we need that. Don't know if we need it.
What?
I don't know if we need it. I like Drury because like usually when we get him, it's a big game. Like you're there, remember the Barcelona Rome one? That was really good. I don't know if Luton scored against like fucking Sheffield United on a Tuesday night, if we need Peter Drury reciting a fucking
It's glorious.
It's Luton.
It's magic.
It's lovely Luton. They've done it again. I don't think we need that.
I'm all in on that.
All
in on that all day, every day.
It's gonna get on my nerves
It's
pretty
gonna
quick
make
if
me
that's the
more...
case.
This is coming from a man who like Mario Balotelli's fucking goal celebrations.
There used to be footy games.
No celebrations, because just scoring a goal is a job.
No, the opposite. I think Drury is a bit like cheesecake, in that it's boss in small portions, but if you eat the old cheesecake, you feel a bit sick.
No,
I worry that we're gonna get too much Drury, and it's gonna piss me off. Oh, and Bentley, it's 1-1 against Sheffield United. Calm down, Pete.
No,
I don't think we need it. I don't think we need it.
You're so wrong.
For someone who watches literally every footy game that you can possibly watch, even the most boring of footy games, like you can switch off, you can go on your phone. He would make me not switch off.
I was about to say, I don't think I'd ever watch any other footy games. I might not be the audience.
I would, 100%.
There you go.
Drury McCoist.
Now I'd watch every game. I fucking
because
love
he loves football.
Yeah.
He's not like a twat about it. It's like every ex-footballer loads the fact that other lads get to play football and they can't anymore, get way more money, and they hate it. They hate every aspect of it, apart from the obvious ones. Carragher loves it, and he just loves poking and loves the fume and loves winding people up and stuff. Neville loves it for obvious political reasons, and obviously all the mega money that he's getting off the side of it. But Ali McCoy's genuinely just if you said, we've got a footy game going on the weekend.
Commentate.
Yeah. So, do you want to come and talk about it? Yeah, absolutely. He would. He would go and do like an award ceremony for every local kids team if you'd asked him to. Guaranteed. Loves it. Let's have more of him. Okay, anyway, more Liverpool stuff. Milner to Brighton confirmed. Leighton Clarkson to Aberdeen confirmed. Milner, Chloe, we knew it was happening. But I mean, was there any little tinge of anything when you saw the pictures of him? And
Doesn't
all that?
look right. Doesn't look right at all. Yeah, it hurts just because he's given to another Premier League club. He deserves to be able to go to that Premier League club. But it'll hurt coming up against him because he'll put all feelings aside and he'll be smashing into us in the first 5 minutes.
Do we hope? Like the odds of him scoring against us, and I've said it now. Would you want him to like give it the beans against us?
No, I'd rather he did.
I think. What do you reckon, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd fucking love him to celebrate against us.
I think way less of him if he didn't. I like the fact that his announcement video was like he was on a golf course or something. Like he clearly
they interrupted his day.
He clearly hadn't bothered. Like, he signed for them and just got off, and then he realised you haven't done no media. Fuck. He's like in a golf t-shirt, just desperate to get on the 18th hole or whatever. Yeah, I can't wait to go and Brighton, seeing a boss, seeing a bye, got like that. It was very odd seeing. It's mad because like he did used to play. He's played for like loads of teams, and yet I only ever think of him as a Liverpool player. Yeah. Like we've seen him for Newcastle and Leeds. Villa City, and it's like, oh yeah, he was actually one of ours, and then he goes away and plays in another kit. It was quite jarring to see. I think it was the first thing I saw was Fabrizio Romano's expert photoshops that they do.
Yeah.
In the Brighton
softens the blow, that doesn't it? Because you've already seen it.
Yeah. It was like a spoiler, and it didn't sit well. But fair play to him. Like how much he's going to play there, I don't know, but he's going to. I've read something that he's going to be like captain them in Europe, like he'll be the one who takes them, like when cuts the first trips into Europe, which makes a lot of sense for him. In Milan, kind of knowing exactly what's what. I don't know.
Slower pace in Europe, him and Lallana, like rolling back the years.
I was going to say it's a bit like what's that movie? The Expendables, is it? When all the all the superheroes come back together.
Is Ashley Young on a freak as well?
Get the OAPs away to France or something. But listen. Which can be interesting when he plays against us because he is a wholehearted footballer. He will smash somebody.
Honestly, first thing I'm saying to any of the players, if James Milner's coming for you, jump.
Yeah.
Jump out of the way because you know he's going to set the tempo for the entire game. We've seen it, week in, week out throughout his 8 years at Liverpool. You know he's not going to hold back, and that's what we loved about him. So, 8 years, I think it was at Liverpool in the end. He is a Liverpool player. He always will be. I think everybody will see him now as a Liverpool player because of the trophies he's lifted and stuff for us. But he made no bones about it. He wanted to go and get more game time, and I respect that more than anything else. Because there are lads that sit on your bench forever, and it's just crap. You want to see them, and he's 37 years old or whatever, about to turn 38, is it, this season? And he still wants to play football at the highest level. Respect, man. That's box.
The other thing is when you said, would you like him if he celebrated against you? No, the reason he celebrated against Manchester City was because they booed him.
Yeah.
As soon as he walked on the pitch, as soon as his name got announced anyway, he was booed by a club where he gave everything for. He will not be booed at Anfield when his name gets read out. Therefore, I don't want him to.
I'd like him to come out and announce ahead of time. Go, right, listen, guys. If I score for Brighton, they're my club now, and I think most people will go, yeah, go ahead, fill your boots, lad.
I'm fine with anyone celebrating any goal.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. He's a Leeds fan. And he come out and he said, look, they've got a special place in my heart, Liverpool and all that.
Yeah, I'm Leeds through and through.
But I'm Leeds through and through. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with celebrating against an old side. Yeah. You're being paid to do a job. You obviously enjoy doing your job. And if you score, you'll be enjoying that. Celebrate it. Don't be a tit about it. Don't run up to the cop and celebrate in front of the cop like you're a maniac. Have a little fist bump, goal, bang, let's get on with it.
We're not looking for a Adebayor style
full
length of the pitch.
He does that, you'll get booed.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think I might respect them more. I'd hate it at the time, but fair play.
Yeah,
he needs a fucking bleed test celebration, Milner done. That's what he needs.
Pulls his t-shirt when he's got an FSG out t-shirt vest on underneath, like, and celebrates like that. Yeah,
that picture of John Emery with the line through it, that they all use the cartoon.
Yeah, with him outside of the fucking cross divvies. Leighton Clarkson's Aberdeen fine. It's a shame that we haven't really got more to say about him. I think it looks like he had a good loan spell, and Aberdeen wanted him back, and fair play to him. He has a good career.
I'll back that quick. I think that's what a good academy should do.
Yeah,
your players don't just get released and end up playing non-league. You sell your players who we're never going to play. But I think that shows the strength of your academy. If you can produce players who other teams, go and have professional careers, and ideally, for every Trent and Curtis Jones, you need like 10, 15 lads who just go and doss about the Premier League or other leagues. And I think Liverpool's starting to get there. There's loads of players now. You can watch a lot of games in the Championship or Scotland or whatever, and there's a couple of Liverpool players, ex-academy products. I think that's a positive for the academy, because you didn't really get that. Like United had it for years. All the lower ends of the Premier League and Championship was just full of lads who'd come from United and not quite made it. I think that's a positive. If you know, Ryan Kent's just gone to Turkey, not to get his teeth done, he's literally going to go and play. He might while he's there. When in Rome and all that. But like, I do think that's a positive. It just shows like listen, Aberdeen a Scottish Premier League side who were about to play in Europe, and they wanted, and I hadn't played. I think that's a positive.
Well, Can I take us on a tangent for a second? Do you mind? I've got a little story from when we went out on Friday night.
Okay. It's
tangentially linked because I think you said the word Aberdeen. So we're out having a few drinks with some fella, and it turns out he's a football fan, chatting to him about what we do and all that type of stuff. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I was in Greece. I got a mad story about this." I said, "I was in Greece a few years ago, right?" Go ahead, mate. Yes. And he's like, I got chatting to someone. I'm a football fan. I'm an Aberdeen fan, and I like Barnsley. I think it was. He said he liked us something in England. So he's chatting to us about this, and he's like, "Oh, right.
That's a kid thing, that isn't it?"
I don't know what it is, right? Yeah. But anyway, the last night of his holiday in Greece, he got chatting to some fella because PAOK are playing on the TV. I don't know how to say it. Can I call it Poke from now on? Poke from now on, right? Or I'll just keep saying PAOK. So they're on the television, right? So he's watching them. And he starts chatting to some fan, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and he said to him, "Who'd you like?" He's like, "Oh, I like PAOK." Didn't like PAOK, just said it to be nice and sort of continue the conversation and stuff. Anyway, he got himself into a web of deceit and lies. Unfortunately, he ended up spending the match with him, having a drink and all that. And the guy goes, "Oh, I work at PAOK. I'll get you there tomorrow morning before you go home. 11:30, me flight, mate. It's fine. Don't worry about it." He's like, "No, don't worry. I've already messaged them. They're going to open the ground up. 8:00, I'm going to come and pick you up from your hotel. I'm going to take you to the ground." So 8:00 comes around on the day he's fucking leaving his holiday. He said he never slept. He was up all night fucking researching PAOK, the greatest goals, the league titles, all this type of stuff. He said he was fucking wired. He don't know why he was doing it. Anyway, they take him to PAOK. Next thing, he's being fucking interviewed by the club, and they've got the official photographer there and all this type of stuff, right? And he's going, and he's completely trapped in this lie now. But at least he's done his fucking research. So then he goes, they wrote a fucking article, you can see that there, PAOK FC. Can you bring it up for us if I send you the link?
Yeah,
right?
No.
It's glorious, mate, honestly.
I mean, I just don't have a way of what are you going to send it to me by?
WhatsApp, okay. PAOK FC, and then just type in Aberdeen fan, and you'll be able to get it up, right? And the start of this article is one of the most glorious paragraphs you're ever going to write. So this is now a photograph of him
we got
at PAOK FC. And
he's from Aberdeen. He's lived in many different parts of Great Britain, has watched some of the biggest clubs in the world in action as a football lover, but as a fan, he has eyes only for PAOK. He's following the activity of the double-headed eagle and his wishes to attend a match in packed Toomba Stadium. This is the story of Peter, a PAOK fan from Scotland.
Right, read the first line of the next paragraph.
The hero of our story was born in 1962 in Aberdeen.
And this fucking is a big ass article about how much he loves the club and all this type of stuff. And I was wetting myself, like they've got photos of him on the pitch and all kinds of stuff. This is brilliant. And they just left him. He ended up having to get like an Uber or something to the airport. Look, he doesn't even like them. And that's me mate's ma. His birds.
And he's got no idea.
He doesn't even like them. He just started having a drink with them and was like, "Yeah, I like PAOK."
That's brilliant. Oh dear.
So there you go.
You might have said he was PAO. Not okay. No. Right.
Great story, that.
So let's
sorry, Leighton Clarkson, but that was well better.
Yeah. But with the greatest apologies to Leighton Clarkson, has moved to Aberdeen. Right, yeah, I mentioned this on Twitter. I've been away. I've not really had a fair mind on what's been going on out of Liverpool. Steve, what's happening with Kone and what's happening with Tehran? Are we signing them?
Sorry, who?
Tehran.
Why do we have 3 different ways of saying it?
Chloe, don't start.
Okay.
It's Tehran, but I'm Scouse, so it's Tehran.
I'm just going to say Tehran.
Tehran.
Anyway,
Steve, how do you say pound? How do you say pound? How does Chloe say pound?
Libs.
What?
Sure.
Oh, LB. Fucking hell, Chloe. That's pathetic.
Was you not here for that earlier?
Apparently not. I mean, mate.
It's a moment none of us in the office will ever forget. So
it was good.
Libs.
Okay,
sound, yeah.
But not Kugs.
Not kigs for kilograms.
No.
Stint for stone.
Or Oz.
No, anyway, it's fine.
No.
Sims.
I don't think we're signing Cole. I think we probably are signing Tehran. There you go.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think they were looking at one or the other, and I've always sort of thought that.
Which is mad because they are completely different players. But if
people.
Well, they are literally different guys, yeah. They are both French. Maybe that's the similarities, and footballers. It feels like the Thuram stuff is more advanced. I hate saying that, but like...
I had a weird thing with him because I did the inevitable and watched YouTube highlight compilations, and the first one I watched of each, I was like, "Who is this? Who is he, Thuram? And what are we doing? Looking at him, what is the point of this?" It was clearly like a defensive attributes one, and that's why I immediately am like, "That's clearly what we're buying him for." Because then I watched the Manu Kone one, and he looks like an absolute god of football, dribbly genius, going past everyone for fun. But then I hit all the analysis was like, no, he's been playing off the left of midfield. He's more box to box, more attacking. I was like, I did not see this from this at all. And then I watched another one. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he's actually doesn't mind carrying the ball, does he? But it looks like an inevitable knock-on thing, doesn't it? Of we want big lads in our team.
Legs, don't like ability to run.
Yeah.
Is the key. What's interesting, Paul, is that there was a lot of news about like Liverpool definitely want three midfielders, and it's starting to, you're hearing bits about one more and maybe a third that he can get it.
Said this freaking 2 weeks ago, and he's like, no, he's definitely going to sign three.
I still think they need three, and I think they're in the market for three, but I think they are definitely going to get another one, and then if they can get a third, I think that's wrong. I don't think that's what they should be doing, but it feels like they're going to probably get Thuram and then try and maybe get a Gravenberch or someone else.
Well, look, at the risk of treading on the next part, because I think it's a really interesting thing to spin this out and what they're going to be doing. We'll save that for now. But it does look. I mean, Thuram's the only one at the moment that looks even remotely close to being, in line. If that got done this week, you wouldn't bat any eyelids. Whereas any other one, if that happened in the next 24, 48 hours, even someone like Gravenberch or whatever, I'd feel quite surprised by that. It doesn't feel like anything's that advanced. Eze was one that come out. You pointed this out to us the other day, over the weekend. I mean, Liverpool, is it monitoring him or something like that, or asking about his situation or whatever? I
wish to be kept informed.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's brilliant.
He's so good.
Where's he play?
He's a wide forward.
Is he like mostly played in attack and mid for like Crystal Palace, like centrally?
Tennish.
Yeah.
He's so good. He's unbelievable. But yeah, it feels... It's mad because if he was playing in another country, a player who's like 24 years old and has just made his international debut and is starting to go on, that be like, he makes perfect sense for Liverpool because that's the profile of player. It's just the fact that he plays in England, everyone's a bit aware of him. But it feels to me like all the top six sides would want him. I think he could go anywhere, and if Palace decided to sell, then it could be a battle for him. But they're about to lose Wilfried Zaha for nothing. It's like, are they really willing to lose Zaha and Eze? They haven't even got a manager yet. That's a difficult one. I mean, you would think that they would do what Dortmund did when they done Haaland and then they did Bellingham. I mean, not the same level of play, but you get me. You can't let two of them go at the same time.
Yeah,
I think that would be all from Palace. But I think at some point he's going to move to he's a Champions League level player. I'd like to hope. I think he'd be amazing for us. I could put him in. I think you put him in not one of those 2 number 8 roles. I think he'd be brilliant.
I think his point spot on as well, because just to corroborate what was said there, from his positions, played last season, he played 11 games in attack and mid, 11 centre mid, 11 as left wing, 3 as left midfield, and again, it starts to feel more and more like that's the kind of thing that they're after, isn't it? Is a lad who can go. Okay, we'll play him in midfield. If we have to, we'll play him in a more attacking situation. And again, if you need to play him in the front line, then sounds. Chloe, what do you think? Eze fan?
Yeah, big Eze fan. I remember when he first burst on the scene, obviously before the horrific injury that he had, and I was like, wow, what a player Crystal Palace have got here. He can do it all. He can score from outside the box. He's got really good link-up play. He's got a little bit of burst of pace to get past. He carries the ball really well. And it was unfortunate at the fact that he'd got called up to England and then he did like his ACL or something. And it was... As just a lover of football, I was worried for him because it's a massive injury at a really young age.
On the training ground, wasn't it? Like, I think it was one of those, a really bad one.
And it's always a worry of how he'll come back, but he seems, as he has came back, he finally played for England the other day. but he's came back and he's done quite well. I'd still be a little bit worried on the injury front, just because I am now always worried about injuries. But he's an absolute superstar, and if he played for us, I think he'd be boss.
He's been on the radar for me for a long time because of James Walcott. Because obviously when he was playing at QPR, he was talking him up big time. So you sort of end up looking at him and stuff like that, don't you? And I can see why Jurgen would be interested because of the versatility and stuff. I don't think there's that much in it, to be honest. I don't know why that is, because he kind of ticks all the boxes, but it feels like he's left hand side, and I think we've kind of got the left hand side covered. Unless he moves McAllister maybe to the right hand side or something, you know what I mean? Or maybe they're thinking he can move to the right hand side. But just based on where he's played, I think we're kind of stopped over that side of the field.
I think I might be wrong. I think they're getting to a point with the contract as well where they might have to do something soon, whether they pay him or sell him. Because they are about to lose Wilfried Zaha half and often because they paid him and then they couldn't get rid of him. I think that's the thing for Eze. He's probably just seeing Zaha get... And I mean this with the greatest respect to Crystal Palace. Like, he kind of got himself trapped there a little bit. He signed that big deal. Yeah. Fair play, he was on £100,000 a week and he signed the contract, but then he couldn't get out. Yeah. And there was, Arsenal wanted him and Palace held all the cards. It was like, why are we selling you? Unless there's big money involved. And I do wonder with Eze if it's a case of like, if he does put pen to paper, that unless there's like, again, unless you can get a release clause involved, because my thinking is, and it's what Chloe said, I do wonder if teams would like to have another look at him for a year. Because he had his year and then he missed pretty much an entire campaign with a really bad knee injury, then starts coming back. I think Gareth Southgate called him up almost like a reward for like, we were going to have you in the Euros around, and then you got the injury. So I wonder if teams are going to, maybe it might be one that's like a January move for somebody. Yeah. But if I'm him, if I'm advising, I'll be saying, mate, do not sign that contract. Hang fire, just see what comes with, because you don't want to end up getting yourself trapped in a contract that you can't get out of.
It just feels like a bonus bit of business for us. It does feel like, I'll be honest, it feels like a very Liverpool 10 to 15 years ago kind of sign is my general thing, because I think he's really, really good, but we need English players in the squad, and there's a little bit of that. This is the kind of thing Man City do and Chelsea do, where if he's clearly good enough to play in the Premier League level, so he's got that experience, he knows the pace of the game, all that kind of stuff. But he's not so good that you've got to play him and you've got to have him in your team and all that kind of stuff. You can have him in, he'll fit in, he'll be, you'd imagine he's got the right mentality, particularly coming back after that knee injury, and to have as good a season last year as he did. He'll probably fit in with the character of the squad or whatever, yeah. And if he doesn't play, he's done a year or two at Liverpool. It's not going to harm his career by doing that. And then there'll be no shortage of suitors down the line as well.
I think he's better. I think he probably will play, I think he will get in the team. If it was, I think in midfield, one of those 8, I think he could play. I also think it's important to know, like, Jurgen's no dickheads policy. He fits that to a T. Like, if you just Google Eze, and don't need to do it now, like, all the stuff that he's done.
Well, he did a Sky Sports thing on him about 3 or 4 years ago, I think. It might have been when he first moved to Palace and what he'd done for his community and stuff. Like,
he delivers, like, he was delivering shopping in lockdown, and he was doing the food banks. Like, he still does it anonymous. Like, he didn't want to be fan, but someone mentioned, but he was like, he kept it on the down low kind of thing. So I think he also fits, like, the good guy thing. I know a few people who've come across him and work with him or met him, and they say, like, he's an absolute diamond of a fella. And that is important to Liverpool. Liverpool have got the policy for a reason, like, they don't want knobheads. So whether they sign him, I think he might move this summer somewhere. It might be further down the line. But like, Palace, you haven't got a manager. So if you're trying to attack the manager, the last thing you want to walk into is a team who are trying to get rid of all your best players. It might be a while where they get there and then see what's what.
He feels very Spurs, Crystal Palace, not Crystal Palace because he's there. Perfect analysis. He feels very Spurs, Aston Villa, that kind of.
He's better. I mean, I think Newcastle, I think, would make a lot of sense. Yeah. I think Man United would have him. I think that makes sense as well. I think he is really, really talented. Maybe not Man City because they're just.
My gut's saying I think he's really good, like you do. My gut's saying Liverpool don't buy him for full whack. And if he becomes available at a decent price where they feel like they're getting good business, that's when Liverpool enter it. But he's not one of their top targets.
What would you say? What would you all say was a decent price? Do you think Liverpool pushed the button on an Eze?
35.
Oh, way more. 60.
50.
Fuck off.
Honestly, I think he's brilliant.
I think 30 to 35.
I don't think you're going to get him.
You just won't get him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I just don't. I don't see that he's a 50 to 65 million pounds.
I think that's what Palace would want, and I think someone will pay it. You're gonna, like, that's the thing now, is that, and I apologies for like, I had Neil Jones on the show this morning on Journal Insight, and he said like, the Newcastle Saudi Arabia thing, separately by the way, not the same club. Yeah, Newcastle and Saudi Arabia. There's two more for Premier League players. There's two other markets who are willing to inflate prices. Look what Chelsea are doing now. They're flogging essentially deadwood off to Saudi Arabia to help them out with the FFP stuff. Clever, but it's a thing. And like Liverpool, Newcastle wants an in for Thuram as well. Like there's another big fish. Now I said like 10 years ago, wouldn't it be a conversation? He's from Liverpool. But Newcastle are in the Champions League. They are paying big money, and they're backed with, unlimited wealth per se. So I think someone would pay. It feels like the type of signing like Newcastle would make, because it's not quite the absolute. It's not going out and buying Robinho like Manchester City did, but it's buying like your Zabalettas and your companies and really strong players who you then develop. Because Newcastle aren't in a position yet. Like, there's talking like the Neymar stuff. That's just mad. But I think that there's a level of player where you can go and get into. So we're used to battling with United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham for players. Newcastle is definitely a thing now, and that does probably add on 5 to 10 million, because there will be a Newcastle tax on all these players. Yeah. As soon as they go on the phone to Palace, yes, I'm 50.
That's when I think Liverpool don't enter them, though. That's when, because I just think they're just not beholden to going for that. Those deals.
It's as much actually, I think, about what wages. That's what Newcastle conversation is going to be interesting. What are they paying? Yeah. Like, it's not about the fees. People get lost in transfer fees, but they're not that important. It's what you're paying your guy on a week-to-week basis. That's where you get blown out the water. And again, there's been lots of conversations around the Bellingham stuff, of course, but the stuff I heard about it was just he's at 19, going into Real Madrid at Mo Salah level wages. Well, Liverpool are not that football club, and are never going to be that football club. Whereas Newcastle's and Manchester United's and Real Madrid's and PSG's and Man City's, that's where the money goes. City had that for years of going, well, we're not breaking world records for footballers, they are now, but we're not doing that. It's like, yeah, but you're playing a right back that's never played a game. You're paying him 150 grand a week just to be at your footy club. So that's where Newcastle will be an interesting thing. But we'll do a big chat about them on Bias Football Pod. We've had a super chat from David Brett Smith. Says Thuram is a monster. I would offer money plus Fabio Carvalho on loan for Eze. Do you think the nice owner could be a stumbling block selling to us?
Nice.
I'm sorry, yeah. If you shouldn't capitalise, that's why we capitalise nouns. The nice owner, yeah, parish.
I think he means good old Jim Radcliffe. He's a nice fella.
Yeah. The nice owner could be a stumbling block seller. Yeah, potentially.
Well, what it means is Nice to be on. Like, they don't have to sell.
Yeah.
They're not skint. I mean, they're backed by a very, very rich man. Now they're a bit of a shambles, and I think that if the player wants to go, there's probably a deal to be done there. On the Eze, I mean, like,
that's what Liverpool are relying on, though, aren't they? Liverpool are relying on those players wanting to go to Liverpool and making it difficult for the club, and that's the exact way that Liverpool have to do things right at the moment. Because what you do, if you're the club buying and the player says you don't get into a bidding war, and Liverpool don't want bidding wars, they want the player to turn around to the football club and go, I want to go to Liverpool, so you're going to have to deal with them, mate. And that's how they keep their prices down. Because as soon as you get into a bidding war with Newcastle, you're not winning it anyway.
I think on the Eze thing, it feels to me like a lot of other chips have to fall to see who ends up where, and then someone's going to be left near the midfielder. It might be us, it might be Newcastle, it might be Spurs. Like, there's Maddison's and there's Declan Rice and there's Neves going to Saudi Arabia. I think there's a lot of deals that are going to happen, and then that'll free up money for player and spaces. Yeah. So if he's going to go, I think that could be somewhere. It might be late on, but I to go back to Chloe's point, I do wonder if the side's thinking, give him 6 months at Crystal Palace to get the knee, get him playing footy again. And then it's a January or a next summer type of thing for someone that feels like it might be different.
I don't see him at Liverpool. I just don't. I feel like every other club that's been linked with him would go in for him before we would. And that's on price. It's also on the fact of, it just doesn't seem like a player Liverpool are after right now. It's clear that Thuram is a priority, and then after then, you've got people who are quite similar to each other. I mean, keep bringing it up, but Jude Bellingham to Ryan Gravenberch in terms of build and how they hold themselves, two very drastic different players at this moment in time. But you've got Kona, who's kind of more defensive. It felt like he is an or Thuram instead of and with Thuram. and I don't know that there's anyone who's up there with Eze aside from McAllister who's already been bought.
It's in danger of stepping on again. It's having a part two, but the plan thing, you're right. It's what Liverpool do, and we haven't really considered too much of Liverpool's outs and how that impacts business in a week or two or a month from now. Neil O'Callaghan, everyone can agree that this summer is the biggest in terms of transfers. LFC need at least quality, not bargain basement, 2 mids and a centre back / right back. Anything short of that, and we all need to question FSG. I think that's spot on.
Is that 2 more or 2?
I think in total. I think
he means 2 more.
I think he means 2 more because that's what I want.
Yeah, I think
I think we all want probably 2 more. I think what I was saying a couple of weeks ago is that look, I wouldn't be surprised if they sorted another midfielder, then went to the centre-back, even though they're now not being linked with centre-backs, and then went back for something towards the end of the transfer window when the merry-go-round stopped and you sort of... But I know we're going to talk about this. It very much feels like Liverpool have got a flow chart at the moment. Yes, Thuram, no Thuram.
Yeah.
And then what happens then? This. And then, okay, yes to this guy, no to this guy. Right, that midfielder's like him, so we go to this midfielder, and it's all just moving parts at the moment.
I mean,
it's why it's so hard to work out what the plan is.
Oh, yeah, Neil can probably tell us in the comments, but my reading of it is at least quality, and I agree with that. I think Liverpool need 2 quality centre. I think a third can be you can take a punt on a third. I don't think Liverpool are going to buy 3, walk into your first team, I would suspect, or more, but kind of whatever.
The problem we've got is you've got Harvey Elliott, Stefan Bajcetic and Curtis Jones who are all under 22, and then you've got Thiago, Henderson, Fabinho are all 30 plus. It's like you need the middle park. We've got McAllister, there's one, and I think we need at least another one. You can maybe go and get another player who's, this diamond in the rough you can build up, but you've already got 3 players there who are trying to fit into this squad.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's do quickly. Trent played in midfield for England, albeit against Malta. Let's just get that out the way before the comments dive in on that. He was brilliant. Chris got rave reviews as well. It was great to hear, given how much trouble he's had with England. He had that very brief go in midfield a year ago with Southgate, and he looked a bit lost, if I'm being honest. I love watching him play football when he's in those areas of the pitch. He just had a boss time.
Yeah, he's just quality, man. It's I'd be more interested in signing Saka for when Salah hangs up his boots at Liverpool, to be honest. Because the understanding that those two seem to have. I mean, it's not difficult to break it down. Trent's got the ball, Saka runs in behind. Great. I'm here for it all day.
I've never seen anyone get on the bike. As soon as Trent got the ball, Saka was like sound. Every single time. Brilliant.
But it's the way that he delivers it, isn't it? I mean, he just looks so effortless in the middle of the park now, and it might be because it was effortless against Malta. Who knows? But he looked effortless at times during the Premier League season towards the end of it, where nothing seems... It's those little 5-yard passes. He plays a little pass off, and then he moves into some space. And he just sees where it is, and then he's available for the pass again, and he'll turn and move the ball forward. He's got everything. Love the fact that we saw him in a regular 8 as well. To be honest, I think that's really important. First time I've seen him as a regular 8, so that that answers questions. Does Bellingham get back into the side? Is the next question. If Bellingham doesn't get into the side, does Trent become an 8 for England? And have we actually got the better one after all of that? I'm sort of joking, of course, but equally. It would be fucking hilarious, wouldn't it?
It was great to see him playing with a freedom and a swagger and a confidence that I've seen it happen to over the years, and you will have too. Liverpool players who were on the fringe or on the outs with England, and they come in. Like Fowler was a good example of this. He was if he played for any other nation, he'd have been the main man and scored 100 goals and got 100 odd caps for the country. But he played for England at a time where you had Shearer and Sheringham were absolutely casting gold. Of course, yeah. And
who wanted to be an England player?
But every time these players, and Ian Wright was a bit like this as well. It's like getting on the pitch and carrying the burden of trying to show that you're a good footballer. Trent actually he just went in and just kind of played like he'd been playing. It was a goal as well, very Stevie. We've said that a few times in the back end of the season, very Stevie like.
It's interesting because what I want to see him do it is against a team where you're under pressure to get the ball back a little bit. There's no doubt getting Trent Alexander-Arnold near the other team's goal against a team who are just not that good, or we're going to sit back. It's a no-brainer. Liverpool could do that. If Liverpool are playing at home against Park the Bus side, of course you could do it. I think the reason Liverpool aren't doing it is because how much work Liverpool's number 8 do. Like, a lot of it is without the ball, and then a lot of it is getting the ball with your back to goal and turning. Like, I want Trent in space. So that's why he was so good against Malta, because he just picked up these pockets, and he had the game in front of him, and it was cross shot, fine Saka. It was pretty easy for lack of a better word. He makes it look outstanding. I think he wants to be a midfielder. I think his body language and his persona and all the comments he makes.
Fast.
He
looks fast as a midfielder.
Because he's not running and chasing left wingers.
Yeah, the fastest players on the pitch.
Yeah, and he's not turning around to go back. I think he would like to do it. I would love to see him again, and if it's in England, whatever, like, just got a game where he has to go and press and win the ball back, because the reason Trent did what he did with him is they had to get him on the ball in space with the entire game in front of him. So I don't think the way we play as eights, I don't think you're getting the best out of Alexander-Arnold. Our eights are facilitators, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean? Jones and...
Will he be in this formation?
Yeah, well, in this new... That's what I'm saying, I don't know. I still kind of... I mean, Jordan Henderson was... He was just Trent fucking running, wasn't he? He had to do it again the other day, by the way, and so did Kieran Trippier. But I don't know. I think if he was playing midfield for Liverpool, I like him where deeper. Now, could he be a 6 is a question I don't know. I think he probably could. One who dictates the play. That's why it might just be what I think should happen. I'd just forget about it, ask him to go right back. I'd say we'll play a back 3, and you're just in midfield with Fabinho. You don't have to worry about getting back there. Don't worry about it. We'll send someone else there to do that for you. It's on the ball. It's undoubt. He's up there with the best on the planet. It's a different level of footballer. It's something that is just like, genuinely, I know it's a hot phrase, like that generational thing. It really is. The level of talent that he's got is out of this world. So if I'm Klopp and Pep Linders and whoever else now, the first thing, my first plan, and forget everyone else who plays for Liverpool, it's
the plan.
On part 2. My first thing I'm thinking about is where's Trent, and then you build everything else around it, and that's what I just don't think. I don't think Southgate would do that.
Okay, cool. Patrick, who's been a member for 28 months as a first team, has thoughts on Kyle Walker to Liverpool news.
No,
our Redmen family WhatsApp group was going a little bit nuts as we were starting there. I mean,
I've not seen this. So Kyle Walker's been linked with us.
Isn't he about 30?
Yeah.
That's the least of his problems. It was in the mail, I think.
Yeah, it was very much in the mail,
yeah. He'd get
got
a
his
game.
PP out.
he did do that. He would get a game. Why would he come to us? Doesn't he hate us?
Look, listen, again, I'll say it like the other week. If we sign a Pavard, if we sign a Kyle Walker, it frees up the conversation that we've just had.
Yeah.
And that is about centre midfield.
Well, just on that, the last point is...
Plus, he's rapid.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely rapid.
Yeah, that solves a lot of issues. Calvin Ramsey obviously gone to Preston on loan, and I think that feeds into what we're going to do in the next part, because are there more questions than answers from what we've seen of the transfer theory so far. Right, we're going to take a short break. We have people asking in the comments, why have we changed our avatars on YouTube and Twitter and all that kind of stuff? Well, because we're releasing the first and second episode of our Roberto Firmino 3-part documentary series this Friday. There is a sensational trailer for it. If you haven't seen it on our socials, then you can watch it here on YouTube right now.
You could see he had ability, definitely.
The most skillful number 9 Liverpool have ever had.
He was part of one of the greatest teams Liverpool have ever put together.
A legend forever.
Gives everything for the fans and everything for the club.
Everyone to a person said, I love Bobby Firmino.
Great example of hard work, of dedication on and off the pitch.
He's one of them players, he does a lot of things for the team that goes unnoticed.
He's world class.
Já no CRB ele já era visto como uma promessa, mas ele decidiu ir para o futebol da Alemanha.
Hat Hoffenheim als das gesehen, was es ist, ein Ausbildungsverein, ein kleiner Verein, der für ihn den nächsten Schritt ermöglicht für die Seleção, für einen größeren Verein.
I knew sooner or later he will leave the club because he was definitely for something bigger.
You know, you fly across the world and all of a sudden we're signing this deal that would become incredible for the team.
Firmino had a quiet start at Liverpool.
When Jurgen first came in, and seeing people don't realise how good he is.
The confidence was there, he knew the manager backed him, trusted him.
Bobby was the key that made that team work so well.
Champions League, European Super Cup, Club World Cup, Premier League in the space of 13 months.
He was right at the heart of everything.
Part of the team that brought the title back. That team will never be forgotten.
I'm going to be telling my kids and my grandkids about what Bobby Firmino did at Liverpool Football Club.
He'd be a big miss for everyone.
Hey, yes, episode 1 of Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, is available for free on our YouTube channel this Friday. Episode 2 will be streaming, available exclusively on redmenplus.com, and episode 3. There we go. As well, phenomenal stuff. I do highly recommend checking it out. If you're going to sit on the fence, watch episode 1 and decide if it's for you. But if you know how good it is when we do this stuff, maybe if you watched the Henderson documentary previously, we've been putting that out for free actually on Redmen too. So go and get a little sense of how good our documentaries are when we do them. Honestly, beyond anything else anyone in our industry does. And yeah, there's a brand new one coming this week. Right, what's the plan? And the question being, are we any closer to understanding Klopp's plans for next season? Just to spell the situation of where we're at, just to kind of put it. McAllister done, Ramsey out on loan. Looks like Carvalho's going out. I don't think that's necessarily too important. But I think the McAllister thing and the Ramsey thing, Chris, I think are... McAllister answers a number of questions. And I did a video before I went on holiday. I think that was a brilliant first move. In terms of, you're going to go and guarantee your first transfer, go and get that boxed off. That made perfect sense to me. Get that done, because that eases the pressure all across the board of what Liverpool are trying to do this summer. You know, he's robust, he's top quality, he can play in basically any position in the midfield. Great. Great. But the Ramsey stuff going out, I can't wrap my head around. I understand why in isolation, there's a young player, he's had loads of injury problems, he needs to go and play some football. That makes perfect sense. But we literally, that's now effectively two guys who played right back for us last season who now are now not at the club for the start of the season, including Milner. I mean, we presume we're persistent with this formation that we played at the end of the season. We presume that. Seeing Trent play, as we mentioned, in an 8 for England only added fuel to the fire that why don't we just find a way to play him in midfield? But if we do that, we're going to need loads more right backs if that's the case. Where are you at with it all?
Well, first off, the Calvin Ramsey, sort of riffing off what you'd said there, he ain't going to get the game time up this season to improve, and we're not going to find anything out on the few minutes he's going to get here, there and everywhere of how good he's going to be. And so I don't think you'd trust him to be the backup if Trent got injured, for example. And I don't. So I think that's fine. Liverpool don't trust him. Great, understand that. You need to find another solution to the problem. If you don't trust him, what's the point in keeping him here when he can go and get game time and obviously improve and get back to the level that he was at his old club, because he's never done it for us. Liverpool need to sign a right back if that's the case, don't they? Or what's the plan for Jordan Henderson? Do we know if there's going to be a Milner-style role for Jordan this season? Is he okay with that? I'm sure they will have spoken to him about it. Like, I'm sure as soon as he said goodbye to Milner, he kind of knew what the answer to that question was going to be.
Milner just patted him on the cheek and laughed and walked off. Yeah.
Enjoy it, mate. Yeah. Just hope they keep Costas, because you'll be playing left back as well if they don't. Yep. So there's going to be, I think there now has to be a defender come into the squad this summer. And for the first 3 weeks of, for 3 weeks since the the season has ended, I was thinking left-sided, and now I'm thinking right-sided. It's just completely flipped. Obviously, there was a tenuous link to Pavard. There's this now Kyle Walker thing, which has literally just been sprung on us. It's not surprising. It's not surprising anyway, and I still don't know what the plan is. I think the plan is to stick with the formation that we played at the end of the season. I think the plan is for McAllister to play the left side of one of those 8s. I think the plan is to get Thuram through the door next, and then I think Liverpool will address the right back situation.
I don't know. If we don't play right back, then you don't need to play right backs. So, that might be part of it. I think the Ramsey thing doesn't matter.
We do play right back. His name's Trent.
No. But what I'm saying is, if his job is to stride into midfield with the ball, there is no one else you can buy who can do that. So it might be his backup, like what you said before, like a Henderson or a Bacchetic.
Your point is you're not buying a right back to understudy a traditional right back to understudy Trent.
Callum Ramsey's a right back. There's no way Liverpool going to ask him to stride into midfield and play the ball like they were doing with Alexander-Arnold.
Well, not even stride. Just stand.
Yeah, that just wasn't going to happen. So, like the days of Liverpool having a Nathaniel Klein right back just sat behind Alexander-Arnold.
But I think should the worst happen and Trent gets injured, you're playing a 4-3-3.
Yeah, you are.
See, I don't think.
So you need a right back.
See, I don't know. See, that if your system is so reliant on him doing that, that's a risk. I do wonder. again, I think you mentioned Henderson, and I think Bajcetic. I think they would be more likely to play right back, for example, than Joe Gomez now, if he sticks with this type of formation. So that's why you're probably going by 3 midfielders, because Jordan Henderson / Stefan Bajcetic become, well, if Trent does need a day off the team or whatever, then we'll stick with what we're doing. He won't be as good at it, don't get me wrong, because no one would be, but I mean, if poor Jordan's got no chance of legging it backwards sometimes. I mean, chasing these wingers, we'd be fucked, but in games where you might be comfortable on the ball, I wonder if it's that, because and I think Carvalho, you mentioned Carvalho, but I think it links into this, is that last summer's transfer window where we signed all those players, we're not that team anymore. Mm-hmm. It's a completely different thing. So there's no room for Fabio Carvalho, and there's actually no room for a Calvin Ramsey. We don't play. Yeah. You know, Calvin Ramsey was the perfect backup right back if you just wanted a right back who got down the line, crossed it in.
He was another Nico Williams, wasn't
he? Yeah, exactly that kind of thing, and we just don't have that no more. So it feels to me like the plan is to stick with the formation, and that might be why it's 3 midfielders to cover it. And I do think you're right. I do think we need a defender, but I think sorry, Chloe, you go next. But do we need more defenders if this is the case? You know, do you need more centre back / do you need another Joe? Definitely need at least another Joe Gomez, because to Chris's point, I don't think you can hold a normal right back on the off chance that Trent gets injured. Do you need someone who can play right-sided centre half while you're waiting? You know, and hopefully that never comes around.
Yeah, there's also a case of Konate. He's had far too many injuries in his Liverpool career so far. I can't rely on him. I just can't. I think he's world class. I think he could be one of the greatest centre backs in the future. But he can't stay in the team long enough. He's unbelievable when he's in it. And if you're asking him to mop up for Trent, who does stand in the mid, then he's got a lot to do on that right-hand side. So I would be a little bit worried about him, which is why ever since, you know, we started talking about who Liverpool need to buy, I've always thought you need a right-sided centre-back who can play right-back. I think you do need someone who can traditionally play right-back as well, because we saw the system break down against Aston Villa, and I know we're in the early stages of it and more needs to be developed, but there will become times in games where we need to change formation. We need to do something differently because a team is stopping us. And when you are up against the sides like City, like Arsenal, potentially Manchester United come back, Liverpool need every point that they can get, and the best coaches are the coaches who are able to adapt in game. And I think we need to make sure we have some sort of backup plan, because Liverpool never have that.
But wouldn't that just be Trent playing as a right back?
But it depends, because I don't know whether that's where you utilise him. I think if you go to a 4-3-3, play him on the right side of the midfield, if you can potentially do that, if he fits that number 8. The other thing, like you mentioned there with the midfielders and stuff, is what's happening with like Conor Bradley? Hasn't he came back from Preston? He picked up every single award that there was to win. Jurgen Klopp praised him and said, you know, he's coming to pre-season with us. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know whether he's clearly gone up the pecking order in terms of over Calvin Ramsey.
And it might be as simple as that in terms of the plan. You know, we're maybe reading into too much, and they're just looking, going, well, Bradley's just done a full season in League One for Bolton, had a really good time. There's probably not a load of minutes there for him, but you could keep him around the squad for a year while Calvin Ramsey goes and gets his legs back under him, playing Championship football, and then you make a call on them in a year in the future. It might be as simple as that. But this is what I'm getting about. The plan is that I'm having to try and find the bits that I can know and see if I can fathom it out from there.
There's no clues because McAllister can play so many different positions that there is no, you know, there's not. We could start next season with one of like 4 formations, and Liverpool got the players for it, and then that will dictate what you need. I think if you sign a centre back, I think it has to be left-footed. I think Konate and Gomez are your right-sided too. Van Dijk's just in the middle all the time with Matip if you need him. And then on the left-hand side, you've got Robbo and I think a left-sided centre-back. I wouldn't be shocked if they sold Tsimikas. I know the reports recently were that they won't. I wouldn't be shocked if they said, listen, I'd rather our backup left-back be someone who can play centre-back. Yeah. You know, again, you go down the City, Nathan Ake kind of route. That makes more sense to me. You've got Gomez and Konate, and I'm not a huge Gomez fan, but I think we are where we are at the moment. I don't think you can do too much. Matip and Van Dijk to play the middle, and then Robertson and whoever this guy are play the left, because they get to work on Costas and they say, right, we're doing loads on pre-season where you're learning this, maybe that, but I just don't think that suits his strengths at all.
Yeah.
So
I don't think you can do that, sorry, with an attacking left-back. I don't think you can train him to be as... Robertson was always defensively solid for me. He was just that also attacking outlet. I don't see that with Costas. Costas is my attacking outlet. I'd never picture him as slotting in as a left centre-back.
Yeah, I think if money was no object, sorry, Paul, I think you're looking at both. A right-sided centre-half and a left-sided centre-half, and both of them can play the right-back or the left-back position. Yeah. And if there wasn't so much work to do this transfer window, that's the obvious thing. That's what Liverpool needs. But you sort of like, you're changing the plan because you don't think Liverpool are going to have the budget to do everything they want to do.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of... the more I look at it, and I did a bit of very, very top-line analysis in terms of minutes. This just go back to refer to this video I did the other week on who played what last season, and that's why I think the McAllister thing was such a central. I call him like the keystone of what Liverpool are building this summer, because if you just get his minutes on the pitch that he played for Brighton last season, he's already replaced Milner, Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and he's enough there to give Henderson 500 less minutes on the season, which gets Henderson down to the minutes you kind of want. And technically Thiago's around, you get to pick Thiago's 2,000 minutes as a result. Instead of playing him flat out for 10 games, he gets injured for 10 and then you bring him back in for another 10 and so on and so forth. I think that's, I wondered about this, like the total numbers that we need. The more I look at it now, and again, with only the information we've got present and a little bit of digging that I've done, I think we need 2 nailed-on first-team midfielders. But I think if that's the case and go on this, I agree. I think we need 2 centre-halves. And I think then maybe if you get 1 extra midfielder on top, we saw about the Eze thing, and maybe he's too good for this, who is a bit of a wild punt, who's a bit of an outside, a bit of a random shout, who's maybe not got the level of experience that you're looking for. But that's cool. I always talk about like the Ryan Babel in the 2007 kind of summer. It's a bit like Julian Alvarez for City last year, as mentioned, where you've got your main guy, but you go and understudy him quietly with someone who's got a bit of potential. But it's mad, and because you've been keen to talk about this, but the under-21 Euros start this week. Gravenberch, Kone, Thuram, Lavia are all there.
Vega is as well.
Vega is there as well, and even like obviously Jones and Harvey Elliott and stuff. That's gonna be telling. The vast majority of the lads we're linked with are all going away on international duty, and how
nothing's going to happen, isn't it? And then we're all going to start losing our heads probably over that because of that. So yeah, I think we're heading into a sort of fallow period of the transfer window already, where we're just going to have to sit on our hands a little bit, and that's the annoying thing, really. And you know what? I've been sort of trying to think while we've been talking, and not just while we've been talking, but the last couple of days, really, about how Liverpool, if Trent's stationary, how do Liverpool get the formation that they've been playing? And you're not going to be surprised there, right? But I think the only way to do it is a 4-2-3-1. And you'd obviously need the right back for that. McAllister would end up, in my head, being in a pivot with Trent Alexander-Arnold, because ultimately what you're getting down to is there's 5 defenders and 5 attackers. That's what we want. We want our 3 forwards and 2 midfielders. Now McAllister's the perfect bridge player, who at the start of last season played in a 2 with Caicedo at Brighton, ranked really highly in all the fucking statistics. Second in, I think, ball recoveries, only to Declan Rice in the entire league before the World Cup ended. It's something like, I think it was 169 ball recoveries or something like that. Played the second half of the season as an advanced 8 or a 10 or whatever. Could he play alongside Trent Alexander-Arnold when you're in a defensive shape? And when you're in an attacking shape, could Trent sit at McAllister, join maybe somebody else, the 3 and the 1, and then you've got your 5. But the question then is, what happens?
If you lose the ball?
We'll lose. No, this is the thing. We're currently a 3 and a 2. You'd almost need to stay in a 4 and a 1 unless Robbo went in alongside Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I'm not sure he's kind of the guy. So you kind of need a John Stones to do it that way around, I think, where he moves up into the middle of the park alongside Trent Alexander-Arnold. But the one thing with that formation that I've got to say I've loved watching Liverpool doing, transitions is where we've been shit in that formation as well. And I wouldn't say I'm particularly enamoured with the 3 at the back and the 2 with Fabinho and Trent when they're in transition. When we get back into a 4 with Trent at right back, we're okay at defending in those situations because everybody joins back in. But the transitions where Liverpool have been getting hurt, and right now, I don't see that this is helping us in any way. Like, that's the thing that I'd have to stop. If I was Jurgen Klopp, I'd be looking at going, how do we get better in transition, playing this formation? And I don't think we've got the players right now to get better.
I think that that's why the dual pivot with if it's Alexander-Arnold and McAllister doesn't work, because I think if McAllister goes, it's Trent on his own in the middle, and I think he would struggle. I think Fabinho and Trent just about did all right with it at times. The interesting thing is Curtis Jones just doesn't give the ball away. Like, his stats just show he just doesn't do that. Whoever's going to be playing in those number 10/8 roles, whatever you want to call them, it's going to be such a challenge. Mate, we need you to run loads, press. We want you to be really creative and try things, but by the way, you can't give the ball away because we're going to be fucked on the transitions. That's almost like you're looking for unicorns. So you are right. There's no...
But I wouldn't say Fabinho and Trent were great in the transitions anyway.
I think they were
because ultimately they bypassed them.
And Fabinho shagged anyway.
They bypassed them. In transition, they just went over to Canate's side.
That's what you got to do,
and it doesn't matter who you've got in the centre of the park if they knock a long ball over the top.
Yeah.
That's why
I'm saying a 4 and a 1 might work in that situation because you've got a right back in situ who's not moving. You got your two centrals. You've got Robertson. Trent, all right, has to cover more ground, but you've got more lads behind him.
I think where we're at for now, I think Liverpool's bare minimum business will be one more in midfield. I think that'll be Thuram. And in that, then you've got McAllister can play either the attacking midfield slot, and if you really want to play an uber attacking thing, you might maybe replaces Fabinho. In that, I think Thuram's being bought to replace Fabinho long term. And I know I've had people screaming this at me in comments for 2 weeks. Play left hand side, blah blah blah. He's 6'4". He's great at anticipating things and cooking out because he's got the telescopic leg thing that Fabinho had when he first came into us. I think he's more. He looks. You see these players play for teams, and you go, "Oh, look, they can do this and this." Oh, I always look at a player and I go, Jurgen Klopp will probably play them a row for a deeper. Every single player we buy, unless they score 20 goals a season, is almost certainly going to play deeper in a Jurgen Klopp team. That's like a great rule of thumb for how he buys footballers. And once you've got that covered, you've got your bare minimum bases covered for what you're doing in terms of midfield. And I think everything subsequently, and this goes back, maybe a defender as well. In fact, almost certainly a defender. And then it will depend on bids for Tsimikas, Matip, and Thiago, and then maybe a random outside one for Jordan Henderson. Let's say, but the Thiago and Matip ones I think will be central to that, because you can only get rid of players if someone wants to buy them. We've talked a lot about Matip being the one most likely to go. Well, there's been no talk about anyone looking to come and get him, and if you want to keep him, you keep him because he's a good footballer, and he's obviously a big part of the squad. The Thiago one's another one. If a Saudi Arabian club comes in with a £20 million offer and offers to pay him £500,000 a week, then I love Thiago and I would keep him around because I think he benefits the squad. Yeah, and that's when I think you pull the trigger on all these other ones we've seen. Barella's name linked. We've seen a couple of them maybe go back to Manu Kone or whatever. That gives them a little bit more capital and whatever. But at the moment, I don't think we're going to buy 5 players without shifting another one on, because as much as we're seeing the net, we're going Milner, Keita, Firmino, Ramsey, Carvalho, and all this, and go, well, net with there's 5 going out, and so far it's 1 in. I think as long as you're getting lads who are physically fit, you actually don't need to have the same number of footballers.
We needed 2 in auction Keita to cover half a season.
Can you imagine what it'd have been like if those lads that we've all just named had an extra year on their contract? Do you imagine how much Saudi Arabia would pay us for Firmino or someone? Yeah. Why have we missed out on this boat here by a year?
It always happens.
I think I would be shocked if it's just one more.
I'm not saying total. I'm not saying done and done. I just don't. The way Liverpool operates, I can't see them buying 3 midfielders and sit him. I think it's too. I just think it's too many because I still think we're in the same position.
I think they will. I think they will sign 2 more without selling a midfielder.
You think?
I don't think they'll buy a defender unless one goes. That's what I think. And I think that's wrong, but I think that's what they'll do. I think they will sign 2 mids no matter what, because I think they just need. I think last year Fabinho was shite. Let's put it one way. But we did him no favours. He played more. He was crap, and he had to play more minutes than anyone. Yeah. That just doesn't work. You're shit, but we literally can't do nothing else. Make sure you're playing again, and you're playing again. And then we found someone fine who can come in and do a job, and then we played him until he broke. I think they're not stupid, and I think it would be stupid not to do it. So Chloe's exactly right. There's all this talk about go and sign this, like, to go and sign 2 and then a young player. We've already got 3 young players. We don't need a young player. Why are we buying a 19-year-old kid? Well, there's Stefan Bacchetis. We've got one of them. And why do you need to go and buy the 20? Well, there's Harvey Elliott. You need the middle. And I think McAllister's one. I think they need 2 more. Because if we're going to play a box midfield, you need at least 3 every game. I think you probably need to get, you probably need 8 or 9 in your squad. And that's why I believe they're not going to buy right back, because I think one of those, we said, listen, I've got 9 years, you just can't all play, so there'll be times when one of you fills in for Trent, whether it's Stefan Bacchetis, Henderson. They're probably the 2 at the moment who fit the bill. Because if you go in with Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago, Jones, Elliott, McAllister, and then I think there will be 2 more. I don't think I've missed anyone off there. I might have done. I think that starts to make sense a little bit. But the way you get them all their minutes is there's got to be a couple who do other jobs. So Harvey Elliott might play right wing a couple of times in Europe, or someone goes and plays at the right back. That's how you get their minutes in them. I think they should sign a defender. I think they should do what they did with. They've just done it with Cody Gakpo. They signed Firmino's replacement before Firmino was going. Yeah. Matip's going next summer. He just is. That's the latest he plays for Liverpool. I think they could have a season where they've got 5, and then it does fall away to 4. Yeah. I just don't know. The centre back thing's weird because there's other than half a link to Mickey van der Ven, there's been nothing.
Timber's been quite.
A little bit, but that feels more like Man United. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like there's any.
Would have said the same about Cody Gakpo, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a good point. I just haven't heard on. I think they should sign a defender. I think the defender thing relies on. Does anyone want to take Joel Matip now, or does anyone fancy Joe Gomez, which I don't think he either will. So my guess is they'll do 2 more signings, and I think they'll both be midfielders. I would like them to do a third. I think going into a season where Gomez, Konate, and Matip, where one of them has to play every single game, it's giving me flashbacks to Jordan Henderson and Fabinho playing centre half, because everyone's got injured. They are 3 lads you just can't rely on to stay fit.
Yeah. I expect to get a little bit of money for Nat Phillips, even if it's only 7 mil or whatever. Reece Williams, just let him go as well. There's 2. I would be looking at offers for Joel Matip, I just would, because you've got Joe Gomez there, who's younger.
From Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, literally, I'd love him. He's incredible on the ball. But what Liverpool have really struggled to do is know when to get rid of players for decent money, so that they can then reinvest. And that is why we've had so many players on the fringes just go for free, where if we would have potentially been able to get even just 10 million here and there for Ox. That's a lot of money in terms of what we can then do. For him, yeah, I understand that. But Saudi Arabia's came on a really hard point here, because if they were a year earlier, we'd have been sound.
Naby Keita would have been on the first.
Yeah, I would have been so happy about that.
No one from Saudi Arabia was coming in for Keita this summer. I'm sorry, it's just not true.
He's 20. He's how old? He
doesn't play. You've got to actually be. There's got to be a reason for them to go over.
Hang on a second. How many games did N'Golo Kante play last season?
I know.
He's got a name though.
Ziyech hardly plays as well. Yeah. I expect 2 more midfielders and a defender.
They could have signed him for free, by the way, this summer. That's true. But he's gone to a mid-table German club instead.
No, you're right.
Yeah, but he had a good. He did end last season in good form, didn't he? So his stock was a little higher a year ago than it was.
Did he?
Last season.
Oh,
the season previous to the season we've just.
Okay.
Do you think they buy do you think they'll go with 5 centre backs? I think they should.
I think one of Matip and Gomez is going. My guess is it'll be Matip, and if they can get Matip, they get another one.
I think they need 5. If they're playing 3 of them, I think they need 5.
It depends. What are they trying to do? What are their aims? And again, this goes back to us not fully understanding the plan or knowing what's going on. I think we need more lads who can play fullback and centre half.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Matip goes and you buy a Nathan Ake or
you're copying City, exactly that. And these guys don't necessarily need to be fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a brilliant centre half or a brilliant right back. You just need to be good enough in both. Nathan Ake's rubbish. He's fucking rubbish. I'm sorry, he's fucking rubbish. Honestly, like it baffles me that he plays for a team that's just won the treble. Like,
well, look, when you've got like fucking 80% possession every game, your centre halves don't need to be that good. They don't do anything on defending.
No, I know exactly.
What is the likelihood? And I'm not saying this should happen, but Joe Gomez, when he first joined Liverpool, did play at left back. could he not play left centre back?
Yeah, probably. Like, yeah.
I mean, it's not.
You know what the problem with that is? He's fucking rubbish.
Yeah.
It's not fair. He's just injured a lot.
He was really good though. With the season we won the Champions League. If we can somehow find that form, maybe with him having 2 other centre backs along him, it might be a little bit better.
The question's going to be: where's the line at which Jurgen Klopp goes, I'm sound, but the rest of the Liverpool online scene does not agree. That's all it says.
One more midfielder is probably that.
One more midfielder or one more defender. You can see it's going to be. I guarantee it'll be defender. That'll be the.
I said last week. I really think Liverpool will be in it at the end of the market as well. I think they'll be looking for someone who's on the fringes of a squad towards the end, and they'll do something opportunistic.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my general thing on this. As I say,
get box off what you desperately need. And then sign pick
I think in the next 3 weeks we'll do 2 more max, unless there was an interesting bid for someone in our squad. Probably one of the names that I've mentioned.
Do you think on the under 21s? I would like. I still think you could do the business. I would believe. I reckon the under 21 team would be open to it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think they'd be sound with it, especially if it's a player going to Liverpool. Excuse me. I think they would probably. I know France let Nabil Fekir do his medical.
Yeah,
at Cleveland. I mean, it didn't go well, but they still but they let him do it. You know, I think it's doable.
Maybe we should get the French national team to do all of our medicals, because since then our medicals haven't gone particularly well.
We haven't exactly been foolproof with the injury fronts. But I still think Thuram will sign this week.
What?
Ooh. I think by Sunday I don't know.
I'm with C. I think we get to around.
And then I think it might. And then I think it might go quiet.
And I think you're right. And I know people won't want to hear this, and it might feel there's some sort of a legitimate agenda, which there isn't. But it's just you've got to always look at what Liverpool are doing and why they're doing it and what have you. And sometimes it might be because Liverpool's owners are cheapskates. That's why again McAllister had to be boxed, because if you do, and my base point is I hope this doesn't happen, but if you can't get a single transfer over the line for the next 3 months, I think you've just about improved the squad. You've improved your first 11 and you've just about improved the quality of your squad, just about with having just him. So you want to get your stock requirements in, so that again if it all goes tits up and you're in mad bidding wars and blah 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 blah. You keep Thiago, you keep Matip, you keep Tsimikas, but you've added you need 2 midfielders, bare minimum, just to survive next season, I think. And then I think once that's done, I think everyone takes a big, deep breath, sigh of relief. Klopp knows that when he returns to training in July, if that's all he's got, he can build for the season with that. And then if you have to add a few more down the line, fine. I don't think that's ideal. And I don't think this is what they'll want. I think they'll want to have everything in place by the end of the first week of July.
Do you think, Paul, like the players we're targeting, they're not players who I think you're going to have to battle for? And that can be taken one or two ways. It could be Liverpool are skint and they can't afford to, which that might be it. It might also be they need to know pretty soonish. Like the Bellingham thing, we know there's a million reasons why Liverpool he might have just wanted to play for Madrid. It might have been money. Another reason cited was we were never sure that he wanted to come here. And I do think Liverpool want sure things because they don't want to be left doing that. Yeah. Like, I would love Liverpool to be in for Casado and in for Declan Rice and stuff, and I really wish they were. It's probably money, but I do also think there's a thing where they're saying, we don't want to get to the end of August and then we're left fucking Artemelo in it. They want to, you know what I mean? We would like to know if we can get a deal done, because with Tchouameni, they got bitten and it fucking bit them in the arse big time. Yeah. And I do think Jurgen's gone. I think that's why I do believe he'll sign 2 more midfielders, because I think he knows how important it is. But the ones who are going for, I know Newcastle have just been linked with Thuram. There wasn't much around Manu Kone, really. The Vegas stuff, yeah, but I don't even know how much is in that. So it feels like Liverpool have got specific...
Manu Kone's links were like Brighton and Villa.
Yeah, I think Liverpool kind of know. Go and get him in, because I do think it's finances, but I also think it's a case of we can't fuck about here. We don't want to be left, Artemelo on loan again. We just can't. We need to know who we can get. So I do wonder if there's been by all accounts they've been tapping McAllister up for fucking 6 months. Yeah. Like they've been doing the homework on these lads and knowing that's why they probably pushed the button on, because they knew. Yeah. And I think that's what they're doing with
the core of the squad needs to be in by the 11th of July when the internationals return to pre-season training. That's when the core of the people, that's when the first teamers that Jurgen wants to buy will be through the door.
And you've got to remember,
that's a hard deadline.
Yeah, and there's just and if you're relying on sales, which I don't think Liverpool are relying on sales for the finances. I don't think there's anyone there that's going to make a significant difference to the budget. Like even 20 million would be helpful, but it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be make or break between what Liverpool do or don't do. It is just about who you're carrying in your squad and how many footballers you've got and what that means to the squad harmony and balance. And he's very carefully. Liverpool they know how many footballers they want to work with on a year to year basis, and that will be a huge part of it, which is really boring, but that's how they operate. And then you're waiting on other things, because some clubs don't want to do their business early. Some clubs want to hang out and wait and see what moves and what develops and what you can get hold of, because to the point, Thiago might just become available for 15 million quid, and there might be a bunch of football clubs who will absolutely bite your hand off for that. But Liverpool are not going to make him available for transfer at 15 million pounds. They're just not. That'd be stupid, because he's a brilliant footballer. You'd keep him all day long. Same with Matip. You'd let Matip, but you would let. I know people don't like us letting players leave on a free or whatever, but you're better off having a footballer for a year than buying someone who's you're unsure of in the short terms. But it's mad. It is also mid. Well, it's actually it's late mid-June. We're heading towards the back end. Yeah, we've got 11 days more after June.
I'd really appreciate if Liverpool were able to get Thuram done and the centre back done before pre-season starts again, and then it's your luxury with the third centre mid, which I think we need 3 centre mids, but Liverpool can look at it as a luxury and see what's going on, because Ryan Gravenberch hasn't really gave the green light. He still spoke about, He's
not even spoken to Tuchel yet, has he?
Exactly.
That's not moving until he's spoken to Thomas Tuchel.
Yes.
All his comments are, I just want to play footy. Yeah. So Bayern are going to play me, I'll stay in. If they're not, I want to go.
Exactly.
There's a lot of these things. Like, I think this week that we've just had, obviously, and even now, the international footy has played a part in it. Like, Declan Rice isn't going anywhere because he's playing for England. Yeah. I think this week and next week we're going to see a lot of movement around all of Europe. I think a lot of, I think Arsenal might sign Declan Rice and Casado might go. There's going to be a lot of moving pieces. I think it's about to ramp up. We had the early bits of it. Not many teams actually signed anyone other than us and like half of Saudi Arabia. there's been a break, and now I think it is about to ramp up. So Bayern Munich, for example, Gravenberch is going nowhere now. But if they go and buy the players that all if they've got Declan Rice, they're linked another one with Kyle Walker, they're linked with their players, then someone else frees up. I think there's a lot of dominoes that need to fall.
Is international footy over for all the big teams, like the Nation
League's
England
are playing tonight, aren't they?
There's a few more, like a couple of days.
Who are they playing?
North Macedonia.
So it's just like qualifiers and that's really it. Okay.
I always hear North Macedonia, but I never hear of South Macedonia.
Or East Macedonia.
There was.
Is there a South Macedonia, and is their football team just nowhere near as good as the Northerners?
I'm guessing this is very political, and I don't know the right answer, so I'm going to ignore it.
The great example was the Serbia and Montenegro team in like World Cup 2006, and they were like, and this is the last tournament that Serbia and Montenegro will compete as a unified team. The only Montenegrin player in the team is the goalkeeper, and he was like 34 years old or whatever. He must have gone, that's my last chance of playing in a major tournament.
The politics of that part of the world, I am very staying away from.
You say that part of the world, and I'm wondering what part of the world it is, because I have no idea where Macedonia is.
I am going to ask everyone in the room to predict for me who you think Liverpool's next 2 signings will be. But before we do, we've got one last very quick break. Hey everyone, before we crack on with the show, I'm going to let you know what this month's prize giveaway is. It is this, in celebration of our Bobby Firmino Best in the World 3-part documentary series coming out in June. We've got this. It's an Adam Lallana signed 1819 home shirt. He was one of the great contributors towards that documentary. He signed it, and we're going to give it away to a club legend this month. If you're a club legend, your name goes in automatically. If you're a club captain, upgrade today to be in that prize draw. Careful. Hey, yes, plenty of stuff happening around. Roberto Firmino, Best in the World, the incredible 3-part documentary series coming out this Friday. First part on YouTube, and then you'll be able to get episode 2 straight away over on redmenplus.com.
Get it!
If you join as a club legend, potentially get that Adam Lallana signed shirt.
I love that as Arthur's got a smiley face on. That just shows how cool and as a nicer man he is.
Yeah.
Smiley face autograph.
Steve Hall, who will be Liverpool's next 2 signings?
Thuram. Gravenberch.
it's sad, but Thuram is the only one that I can think of in terms of like a centre back. We just haven't been linked with anyone, so I will go with Thuram. And I'd love Gravenberch, but something tells me we're not going to get him. So Kone, even though it looks like we don't care for him.
Thuram +1. Sorry.
I can't think of like who else are we linked with. That's like
I think they want Gravenberch, and I think Bayern Munich are going to go big on someone, and then he'll be the one who's allowed to go.
Well, they've not let Kimmich go because Kimmich, there was someone inquired to Kimmich,
Goretzka
and he was like,
was
absolutely
linked
not.
about stuff, and then they were in for Rice. That feels like he's going to go to Arsenal. I think they're going to sign him a field, and then they'll say to him, right now you can go.
All right, I'll slightly less sit on the fence and go Thuram and a 17-year-old kid. And then everyone lose their head. Why are we signing 17-year-olds?
Thuram and Kwanzaa back on loan. Who I do think will take the Nat Phillips.
Any centre halves about? You want to go and play for
I
Liverpool?
will say Thuram, and I will say Timber for the sake of arguments in terms of a defender. Yeah, I think that's what we need. I think if we're being smart, get one more midfielder and get a defender box and just see how the market develops for a few weeks and see what becomes available and see what interest there is in your players. That's what I'd be doing. Okay, we're going to be doing the biased transfer show immediately after this on redmenplus.com. We've got a boss one. We're going to be looking at the work done. Oh, I've not seen this in transfer. It's a thing, isn't it? Look at that. It's nowhere near as funny as the other one. We are going to be looking at the latest from all the top Premier League clubs and having a little laugh at Everton as well, of course. Will Mount and Kane be what turns Man United back into contenders? What the fuck are Chelsea doing? And Aston Villa looking like a very, very solid prospect indeed. Come and join us for some heavily Liverpool-biased chat around the transfers of other football teams. Always good stuff. And the main talking point is the fact that Saudi Arabian club are paying £47 million for Ruben Neves. What?
Mental.
What? Cool, join us for there over on redmenplus.com. If you sign up now, you get the Bobby Firmino documentary, so perfect time, really. Other than that,
what do the YouTube members get this week?
YouTube.
They get the Neil Jones show, don't they now?
Chris has adamantly switched it. So if you're a YouTube member at tier 2 and 3, you can get the Transfer Insight with Neil Jones as your bonus show as a YouTube member as well. So yeah, very good indeed. What did you talk about?
Eze, Thuram, Carvalho, Trent, and I think
I've listened to about half the show now. It was really good. It was really good.
Thanks. Good,
I can confer that he did talk about all of those things.
And lastly, Chloe did her first Twitch stream last week.
Oh yeah.
The Twitch channel is up and running. How'd that go?
It was all right. As soon as someone decided to upload to Dropbox, it all went to death. But we've sorted it. We're getting it.
It was brilliant, and you should come and join us on Twitch.
Everyone will be joining us. We did sign Jude Bellingham, and then he was announced as a Real Madrid player 5 minutes later. But we just ignore that part. No, it was good. Some good chat. Talk about the football, and watched me absolutely sweat in a box of a room trying to play career mid.
Excellent. Twitch.tv/the Redmen TV. Go and get subbed over there as well. Right, cool. That's it. Come and check us out on those other shows. Other than that, have a boss week. The originals will return next Monday. Right, we are counting down the days to episode 1 of Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, our new 3-part documentary series. It is the 23rd of June. It is being released. And if you sign up right now on redmenplus.com as a Club Legend yearly subscriber, as an extra bonus, we're going to send you 2 codes to get 2 free pieces of Bobby Firmino celebratory merch. Get a mug, get a tea, get happy with Bobby Firmino, Best in the World this summer on redmenplus.com.